If you receive an SBA PPP-2 loan and it was denied for forgiveness, pay attention. We have some great tips on this video that will help you out. The first thing is you have to establish a 25% reduction in your gross receipts in 2020 compared to 2019. What that means is the entire year of revenue will be compared 2020 on your income tax return to your 2019 income tax return. But if your 2020 income tax return shows a greater revenue, then take a look at each quarter. If you have a profit and loss statement and you can separate it by a quarter, you'll need to find a 25% reduction in the corresponding quarter between 19 and 20. And if 20 shows a lower reduction of 25% or more, then you qualify for the PPP-2 forgiveness. The other thing is that your profit and loss statement, which you should submit with your appeal to OHA, the Office of Hearing and Appeals, that's where you file your appeal. You're going to probably need to submit some exhibits, and the profit and loss statement may need to be signed by your CPA under penalty of perjury because it's basically a document you create internally, and it's not a third-party record that can be substantiated by any public record. So that's the first thing. So make sure you have a 25% reduction or more in your gross receipts for 2020 versus 2019. Second thing, you're going to need to make sure that you have the wages that support the PPP-2 loan. Now, the way the PPP-2 loan is calculated is based upon total payroll expenses. The payroll expenses can be based upon wages for 19 or 20. In fact, everything that you're using in this calculation, which I'll provide, has to be in the same year. So your first loan, the PPP-1, was based on 2019. Your PPP-2 can be based on 19 or 20, whichever is greater. But let's say it's going to be 2020. You'll take your gross wages and you'll subtract out the excess compensation. Anybody that earned over $100,000, they're going to be capped at 100. So add up all the wages, look at the people who earned over $100,000. It can be an owner, a shareholder, or an employee, but either way, you're gonna extract or subtract the amount over 100. That'll be the excess. You'll subtract that from your total wages. And then you're gonna add in the employee benefits. It could be your 401k. If you have a matching, not the amount that is withheld from the employee's paycheck that gets invested into their 401k plan. It's the matching or basically the 3% or whatever percentage you're using the company's paying in addition to what the employee earns. Health insurance is another thing you can add. Any other benefits, disability, life. Add all those in together. That'll be your total payroll expense for the year. You're going to want to take now the average. So you're going to divide that by 12. Okay? And then you're going to multiply that average monthly payroll expense by 2.5. If you're in the hospitality industry because you have a NICS code that is starting with the 7.2 series, then you may qualify for a multiplier of 3.5. Now, there's some other common things that we've been seeing. We've had over 30 cases with SBA that have run through appeals. And these are some of the common things that we've learned that maybe will help you out. The easier cases were basically, we're seeing that now we're getting harder cases, but the easier cases were processed early on in the last year and a half. Now SBA is coming across the more difficult cases, and those are the ones that are denying. Some of the issues that we're seeing are based on affiliation, and affiliation is if you have multiple companies. SBA will include all those companies in the calculation to determine whether you qualify, and the calculation is really based on the employee count, and it could be based upon the total gross revenue for the company. Now, why is this important? Because SBA stands for the Small Business Association or Administration, excuse me, and what that really means is that they service small businesses. So they're trying to define what is a small business. And for PPP-1, it was that you had less than 500 employees or 500 or less employees. For round 2 of the PPP, it was 300 employees. So you're going to have to show you have less than 300 employees for the borrower company as well as any affiliate companies. And where it gets a little bit tricky, we've had some cases where we had an investor in a business who owned approximately 50% of the company, and that investor was a passive investor, really didn't get involved in the decision making or running the company, and that investor had 20 other companies. And now the issue is, do the other 20 companies also come in that calculation of total employees? And if SBA finds out that you've exceeded the employee count or you've exceeded the revenue amount based on your NICS code, then the company does not qualify for forgiveness. And in a sense, they shouldn't have gotten the loan in the first place because they don't fit that definition of small business. I'm John Milikowski, founder of Milikowski Tax Law. I hope this information was valuable. Please call us if you have any questions.